Halie Soifer runs the Jewish Democratic Council of America, which means she's fighting Jew hatred on the left and the right because anti-Semitism simply couldn't care less about your voter registration. It is most definitely bipartisan. Ms. Soifer, thank you so very much for joining us tonight to an unfortunately very timely topic, as per always. With the lack of a better phrasing, how did anti-Semitism become a Labubu charm on everyone's keychain?
Well, it certainly is timely because in the past day, we've seen what looks like yet another horrific act of anti-Semitism in our country with the burning and desecration of a historic synagogue in Jackson, Mississippi.
Wow.
This was the same synagogue that was bombed by the KKK in 1967. Just demonstrating that anti-Semitism is, in fact, on the rise in the United States. And incidents like this one, like what we saw in D.C., in Colorado, even in Pennsylvania of last year, it really underscores the issue is not the right or the left. It's the issue of right or wrong. And anti-Semitism, wherever it may emerge, is wrong. And our elected officials on both sides of the aisle must take meaningful action to combat it.
So before we really take a step back and look at the overall system, we need to talk Mamdani. He's saying he'll protect NYC Jews while refusing to call out rhetoric that threatens them. Day one move, revoking the IHRA anti-Semitism definition. So it's no longer campaign mode. What's the trajectory here?
We've said repeatedly that we disagree with Mayor Mamdani on key issues like Israel, and we're disappointed to see him revoke a few executive orders his first day in office, specifically those related to anti-Semitism and BDS. But at the same time, that same day, he did issue an executive order continuing the mayor's office to combat anti-Semitism, and he directed the police commissioner to provide clear guidance for the protection of places of worship. He also, in recent days, has said that the protests that we saw this past week at a Queens synagogue, where they were glorifying Hamas, was wrong and has no place in New York. And then he clarified that chants in support of terror have no place in the city. We have seen numerous elected officials echo that same sentiment, and we're frankly glad to see that so many are strongly denouncing the glorification of a terrorist organization that, of course, committed the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust. It should not be hard to do. Mamdani has also pledged to increase funding for fighting hate crimes, including anti-Semitism, by 800%. So we'll judge him by what he does, by his record. Today is day 11 of him being in office, and we will judge him by what he does to protect the largest Jewish community of any city in the world.
So Ms. Soifer, the left's version is anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism. The right's version is Holocaust denial, just asking tough questions. The common thread is clear. Both normalize hate by pretending it's something else. Looking at the 2026 midterms, is Jewish safety even on the ballot anymore, or have both parties decided it's expendable?
I think it certainly is on the ballot in the form of extremism in our country that has really become normalized.
But not anti-Semitism per se.
Well, the issue, I think that it's important to consider there is anti-Semitism in both parties. And we have now also seen the manifestation of anti-Zionism in forms of violence as well. And it's unconscionable and must be denounced. But there is a key difference with the two parties. On the right, you do have anti-Semitic voices that aren't just loud and present, but that have been consistently accepted and tolerated and embraced at the very top, specifically by our president and vice president. And therein lies the difference politically. You know, anti-Semitism, wherever it comes from, is wrong, but it has been normalized by the U.S. president. We saw this in Donald Trump's campaigns for president. He repeatedly denigrated the majority of American Jews. He refused to condemn white supremacy. We saw it day one of his term in office when he pardoned over 1,500 extremists. And now we've seen those extremists in our country emboldened. They returned, some of them returned to the Capitol last week on January 6th. Some of them have ended up back in jail. And we see this with key people that Donald Trump has surrounded himself with as well, including at least one who has declared that he has a Nazi streak. The Senate wouldn't even vote on his confirmation, but the White House promoted him. So we're really concerned that there are key voices around the president, including the vice president, who have accepted and embraced right-wing extremism, which has become so integral to the MAGA movement and the Republican Party.
And yet, when it comes to the president, if I'm circling back to our conversation on Mamdani, if we're judging by action, his standing alongside Israel in the past year, I think cannot be undermined whatsoever. Ms. Soifer, what do you say to Jewish voters, to American jury, Democrats or Republican, who feel politically homeless right now?
Well, I don't believe that anyone should feel politically homeless. There is one party that has continued to stand with Jewish Americans on the wide range of issues of importance to our community, including the defense of our democracy as it's under persistent attack by this White House, including our freedoms and our rights, and including efforts to combat the danger of right-wing extremism and anti-Semitism that have grown under this White House. So people should not feel politically homeless. And I am deeply concerned about both the president and vice president, who is the future of their party, full embrace of the danger of this insidious right-wing extremism that includes anti-Semitism.
Ms. Halie Soifer, CEO of the Jewish Democratic Council of America, thank you so very much for taking the time to speak with us tonight. To be continued, unfortunately, as said, a very timely topic nowadays and always. Thank you very much for this.